Why don't you go ahead, John, while there's a good...
Thank you, Chairman Handy and members of the committee. My name is John Flaherty. I work for an organization called Grow Smart Rhode Island, and as part of that, I co-chair the Coalition for Transportation Choices that's been talked about, the CTC. The CTC is a coalition of 45 now and growing diverse organizations. They represent the business community, environmental groups, labor, seniors, planners and developers, investors, public health advocates, the tourism industry, and others. What brings these diverse organizations together, really, is an appreciation for how transportation affects the lives and livelihoods of so many people in this state. We know that getting our transportation system correct, getting it right, is an effective way to address multiple issues that are very pressing, whether it's that affect our quality of life, whether it's senior independence, the ability of people to be able to get around without having to necessarily rely on somebody coming to pick them up, the opportunity to accommodate additional economic growth. I mean, the ability of Providence as the capital city to accommodate additional economic growth downtown is going to be a function in large part to the transit system that's available, because you just physically can't continue to, or you could choose, I suppose, to build more parking spaces, but parking spaces cost between $30,000 and $40,000 a space to build. So economically, it's obviously a much better value to improve transit. Reducing traffic congestion, whether it's air pollution, asthma rates. So that's what brings all these different groups together. I think that it's, this group, this coalition, is able to look at the issue of all transportation choices. It's not just a transit coalition, and realize that our future opportunities are in diversifying and building and strengthening the transportation system. So CTC advocates for an efficient 21st century transportation system, one that's a win for the economy, a win for the environment, and a win for people who are looking to reduce their household transportation costs. We've heard a lot of compelling testimony, whether it's the actual cost of transportation and how that's now only second to housing. There's the indisputable link between our transportation system and the environment. We've heard of the fact that there's much better coordination. In fact, this is the best coordination that there's been between RIDOT and RIPTA, which is having a terrific impact. The demand for transit is there. I think it was Tom had mentioned about the EcoPass, and one of the companies that he mentions is Blue Cross. Blue Cross now has more than half of their employees on the EcoPass program. That's a lot of new people that are in what we would call the choice rider category. So clearly there is demand for this across the board. RIPTA has been very proactive in leading the charge for a long-term vision for the future of the agency. I had the privilege of meeting with some of you individually. Last session we were advancing a couple of bills, one of which prevailed. And one of the common things we heard from a lot of people was they knew that we were there talking about funding for RIPTA, and their question was, where's the vision? Where's the vision for this agency long term? Before you start talking to us seriously about investing significant new dollars into broadening the transit service, we need to see the vision. And in fact, RIPTA is just about putting the final touches on this long-term vision. We've heard a lot about transit values today. There's a growing recognition among business leaders of the value of transit to economic development. This isn't just in Rhode Island. We're seeing this certainly across the country. I think that Tom actually mentioned that it's those metro areas that are doing the best that actually have a strong, vibrant transit system. The one thing that I think everybody agrees on is that our current transportation funding system is broken. It's been broken for quite some time. We also know that this issue of transportation has been studied and studied and studied and studied. There's an abstract in the packet that I just passed out to you that highlights the 10 most recent studies. And those studies were necessary, but I would submit to you that the time is now to act. Actually, the time was before to act. If you look at the the Blue Ribbon Panel on Transportation Funding, that was completed in 2008. It had a whole section devoted to the dire consequences of inaction. They put forward 8 possibilities, 8 proposals for how to restructure the funding of transportation in the state. And at this point, not one of them has yet been adopted. And we do have an opportunity. The opportunity that's going to be coming up very soon is that the Senate has formed a study commission on sustainable transportation funding. We're hoping that it convenes shortly. This is going to be an opportunity to vet further these options that have been put forward so far for how to better fund transportation. And our hope, from the coalition's perspective, is that we can end that commission with some results that can be put into legislation and to establish this year, this coming year, a transportation trust fund. We put forward the idea last session in very broad strokes. It would have divided the revenues between RIDOT, RIPTA, and local municipalities. RIDOT receiving 50% of the revenue, transit 35%, and 15% to the municipalities to fix local roads and bridges. All 3 of them are struggling, and we felt that that was the right approach. It was this holistic approach. We've heard time and time again, we don't want to be dealing with individual issues in a vacuum. It's transportation as a whole. So what I want to leave you with is that CTC understands full well that putting Rhode Island on a path to a more balanced and sustainable transportation funding system will require very difficult choices. We understand that. What we're here to tell you is that this coalition has only grown in the last year. We're up to 45 now. It's very diverse, and that we are here to support you in making those decisions, whether it's convening stakeholders, whether it's providing data, vetting these issues that will be vetted, for example, with the Senate Study Commission, and we're eager to assist you in putting Rhode Island on a path to sustainable transportation funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John and Ed.